type to walk around with broken promises.
Good evening. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Canvas of Ferrana and myself, Thandeka, your host. It's the first of the month. Month number 1 is already gone, so the year is already flying. Thank you for joining us this evening again to talk matters of the health, fitness, motherhood, all things you can think of that you run, like we're running our lives here. So tonight we have a special guest, Letshego Zulu. She has graced us with her time. We really appreciate that. Welcome. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well, thank you. I'm just trying to get my heart rate down because I've literally just um I've just finished an outdoor cycle. I was out
Oh,
for a ride and yeah, I had to quickly shower and get myself ready for this. So but otherwise I'm great, thank you.
all right. That's great. That's great. So usually you do go out for rides on Sunday, or is it now for your relaxing and all of that? Why on a Sunday evening?
Okay, so it wasn't supposed to be Sunday evening, but
Okay.
you know, as you have it, we mothers wear different hats, you know. It was also
Mm.
month end. Auntie was not here,
Oh,
and I had to wait for Auntie to come back in order for me to head out for my ride. So yeah, but I do ride on Sundays in general. I do my recovery rides. Saturday rides are usually the hard, tough rides, and then on Sundays I just do a recovery ride.
all right. That's interesting. That's interesting. Thank you again for making time. Sundays are quite
No,
hectic. Ne? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it's only a pleasure.
All right. So jumping into the conversation, first and foremost, I would like to know how would you describe yourself outside how the perception of public have you, or beyond the titles and the many hats that you wear?
Outside of all of that, I would say Letshego is a lover of life.
Mhm.
If there's one thing that I have learned over the past 10 odd years, is that life can slip through your fingers at the click of a finger. And I've just become so cognizant of how we've lost so many people in the last decade and more. And therefore, I wake up every day and I say, thank God for the gift of life. You know, I'm a Christian. So I wake up every single day and I praise God for the fact that I've opened my eyes and I'm alive to live another day. So outside of all the titles and everything that everyone knows about me, Letshego is a lover of life, and I'm a lover of life and its experiences. Um, yeah, that's
Adventure
that.
mom. So
Yeah.
inspiring. So, what shaped your love for adventure and outdoor movement? Was it something from your childhood, or it's something that you discovered at your adult life?
Definitely from my childhood. My mom was a multi-sport athlete. She used to
Mm.
run marathons. She used to play netball and basketball in university. She was at Fort Hare University. And around that time as well, she happened to be, so she studied at Fort Hare, and then she became a lecturer there, which meant that, and a house mom at the same. I don't know. My mom just used to juggle so many hats, right? So she
Mm.
was a matron at, for those that have been to varsity, you'll know you have a matron or a head of the house, and
Yeah.
therefore we stayed on campus, and right across from the hostel that we stayed at was the sports field. My mom used to go like in late afternoons after all her lectures. She would take me with and say, bring a ball or bring a book or whatever, sit on the stands, and she would go and run for an hour around the track.
Mm.
So the running bug bit from back then, from as early as, I think I must have been about 8 years old. And eventually I said to her, can I join you? So that's when the running bug hit. But also, like I said, across the field or across the road was the sports field. So it wasn't just the running field, it was also the netball court and the tennis court and the swimming pool. So I got exposed to physical activity as young as 8. And my mom didn't hold back. She when I think at the age of 9, she then put me into boarding school in Grahamstown. I went to Victoria Girls High School, and she allowed me to try everything under the sun in terms of sports. She didn't hold back. Anything to do with academics and sport, she just said, go for it. So I think, I count my blessings in that sense that I had a mom who supported me. But also it came from her. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and she had to take you with because ukushiya futhi would have been an inconvenience. So she had to pull you along, ne?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm an only
Mm,
child, so me and my mom, an only child to a single mom. So mom and I were like this.
nice,
So, and
nice.
even when she was running marathons, she would ask one of her friends to come with to kind of not really babysit me, but we would then become her cheerleaders on the side of the road at the water points. We
Yes.
would be there cheering her on. And yeah, so my intro to running, since we're on campus of a runner, started many, many years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of then you've always been exposed to the active lifestyle. So you've never really struggled with how your body looks, like wanting to lose weight or even gain muscle. Because one of the other reasons I started this platform was to have conversations around women and weight loss, and particularly because I love running. It was also because I started documenting myself through that. So because we're open to speaking about what works for you, what doesn't work. So for you, coming with the background, you're Gijima anyways. So would you say you had never had issues with how you look or how much you weigh?
I have never had such issues. I
Nice.
think I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that sense because of the early intro to the sporting life. So movement for me is essentially, it's in my blood, if I may put it that way, because of the early intro. And my mom kind of, because of her support,
Mm,
it's kind of helped me because yes, obviously I'm not doing. I mean, back at school, I did everything. I've tried and tested anything and everything you can think of.
yeah.
And then obviously now at this age, I've kind of streamlined and I've found, the space that I want to be in. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So which role challenges you the most, and which one grounds you in the many hats from racing driver, adventure, mom, author, wellness advocate? The which one would you say, hey, Lena, stress?
Motherhood.
That's an obvious.
Motherhood is
Yeah.
it's the most challenging hat. I think parenting nowadays is so different to, or let me rather say, kids nowadays are very different to how we were when we were kids.
Yes.
They have access to a whole lot more than we did when we were young. They've got access to the internet. I remember only being introduced to the internet, I think in high school. And if I think about it now, my daughter last year in grade 4, which is standard 2. So you see, now I'm exposing my age. I'm talking standards. They
No,
they
same.
they they had to have their own laptops for school in standard
Mm,
2, guys. Some of us only got introduced to to the internet. Probably I think it was in standard 8 or standard 9. But yeah, it's so different. We were different kids, back in our time. Yes, I think I was a confident child, but um and I don't know if you'd relate to how kids were heard rather than kids were seen. Yeah, we were seen, not heard. Whereas kids nowadays,
Yes, I can relate to that.
it's a
I
lot.
have an
It's a lot.
8-year-old, so my daughter, you.
I've got a 10-year-old, a 10 going on 20. She challenges me a lot, a lot. She asks questions. We hardly asked questions. We were told what to do
Mm.
and we did it.
And
Whereas
if you
kids nowadays, my goodness. Sure.
and if you ask a
Yeah.
question back then at our age or at our childhood,
You
they would
don't
be
ask
seen as
questions.
being disrespectful. Why are you asking
Yeah,
an elder? Oh my word.
exactly. And I still struggle. I'll be honest with you. I still struggle with that. Every
Mm.
now and then I have to say, hey, Sisi, I'm not your friend, I'm your mom. And she's like, okay. Um, so
Okay, okay. So now on the adventure and fitness, you are a big believer of you are big a believer. You are a big believer in movement as a lifestyle. What does movement
absolutely.
mean to you?
Movement means freedom, a lot of people don't have that luxury. Yeah, for me, movement means freedom, and that's why for many years I was a runner. I don't consider myself a runner anymore. The bike stole me from running, but I was a runner for probably a good 10 to 15 years before I made the switch. And I discovered the two wheels. But yeah, for me, movement, just to simplify it, movement means freedom.
Okay, we must bring you back into running. When last did you run? Like over 10 kilometers, or
Oh
you
my
still
goodness.
going for training?
Yeah, no, I've become a 5 kilometer specialist.
Okay, what sub 40
Yeah, but
or
yeah,
20?
the thing is, you know what? The switch from running to cycling was it was a conscious decision. Like I said, my mom was a marathon runner for years, and I guess back then they didn't have access to a lot. They didn't have access to strength training programs and my mom's knees are finished. They are finished, finished,
Ooh.
finished. We've done the physio and the chiro and she's seen an orthopedic surgeon. And a couple of years ago, he suggested that she goes for a double knee replacement because the cartilage in her knees is completely finished. But my mom is scared of going under the knife, and she just said no. I'd rather stop running. She's become a hiker. She hikes and she plays golf. But yeah, for me, I've done it all though. I've done all those races, all these races that people get excited about nowadays. I
Yeah.
did like 10 years ago, guys.
And then
So it's
in
kind of like been there, done that.
Comrades
So like
Marathon, you know?
I've done Comrades. I did Comrades in
Wow.
2014. 2014. That's
Yeah,
over 10 years
2014.
ago.
Wow.
So yeah, I think I've done, even though I only did one, by the way, I did one and it was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I'm not putting anyone
Mm,
off, but for me, Comrades, I remember crossing the finish line and I said to myself, everything hurts, from my hair follicles to my toenails, everything
yeah.
hurt. When you feel like even your fingernails are gonna fall off because of how much
Yes.
pain you are in. And I said, no, this can't be live. And the previous year, 2013, I had I had completed my first Absa Cape Epic, which is an 8-day long mountain bike race. It's the toughest multi-stage mountain bike race in the world. And at the finish line of Epic, after 8 days, we are standing, we are dancing. There are no aches and pains in the body. And then when I did Comrades the next day, I was just like,
It's a big no.
no. But yeah, by then I think I've got 5 or 6 Two Oceans Ultras under my belt. I think maybe 2 halves, but I've done it, guys. I've been there, done that. I did a lot of my running probably in a space of 5 years and ticked off all those boxes. I did. I didn't conquer all the majors, international majors, that is.
Okay.
But I did do one international race. It's not one of the majors, but it was just pre-COVID, literally. I think it was 2019. I did the Rio de Janeiro Marathon in Brazil. Absolutely amazing experience. And yeah, I do have visions of the running life, but having to visit the Cairo and the physio every couple of weeks because knees hurt, ankles hurt, hips hurt. Like, we don't have that in cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
I'll come
can
back. I'll come back.
So I'm a 5K wako. Are they the fastest, or like go 25 minutes, 40 minutes? How are they?
So I think if I remember correctly, my PB for a 5K when I was in tip-top shape was about 17 minutes. Yes. Guys, I used to be a runner.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'm not going to do 17 minutes now. So now running is literally just an addition to my cycling. If I can do my 5K in 30 minutes or just under 30 minutes, I'm happy. And it's literally just to add to my fitness. But I still have dreams of going back and doing the Comrades Up Run, because back in 2014 I did the down, which is a lot more painful. One day, and I keep saying to myself, one day I will go back and do the up so that I can have a full conversation with Comrades runners, because for now it's half a conversation. I've only done one direction. So yeah.
That's amazing. Hey man, you've been there, done it all.
Guys, I need the t-shirt. Hey, I'm just missing
Like
t-shirt.
Dozonki men.
If there's one thing about me, and I often say to people, when I die one day, I want to get to heaven, and when it's my turn to speak and tell people what I did on earth, I want a long list. I want a long list of things, and at the end of it, for people to say, "Yeah, no, you lived life, hey." So.
And then you want to be given isikhathi sakho, like a whole hour to count all these things. Then they'll be pleased to listen. Hey, it will be lovely to listen to that.
Yeah, and the reality shows and this and that. So it's I think giving running the break that I have is not a bad thing. But yeah, I'm not gone forever. I will come back.
Okay, we'll keep on reminding you. Guma post on the social street. I wanted to also mention that you spoke of your comrades, and then when you were done, it was something that's painful. Mira, I did my first marathon last week, Johnson Crane. So it was very hard. Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing I noted all along the way from kilometer 36 was that my feet were hurting. It was like I'm running on top of fire. That's the only thing I felt. Kanti, I think it was when the blisters were starting, because I had blisters. But luckily, no lost nails, toenails are all intact, and they are still with their natural color. So it was only the blisters, and I remember that distinct feeling with inyawo zami ziyasha, like I'm burning.
Yeah,
So I can't imagine 80 to 90 kilometers ukuthi yo, it's
possible. You
double the
know,
pace.
if there's one thing I've always said to people, whatever you set your mind on, it is possible and you can do it. Just equip yourself with you know, the right support.
Yeah.
So, for example, with running, I used to have an amazing coach, Marcel Philyun, based in Lone Hill. Sorry, I'm just giving a shout out to Marcel because, if there's someone that got me from zero to hero, it's that
Mm.
man. And we used to have midweek track sessions twice a week. I hated those track sessions. They were hard. Yo, they were
Mm.
hard. The track sessions were so hard, and every time you are there, you're like, why on earth? And you want to cry because it actually hurts. And then you get to a race, and boom, those track sessions that you did, just
Yes,
everything comes together.
yeah.
So no, Marcel got me from zero to hero, and yeah. So from having a coach to having an eating plan to having a nutrition plan while you're training and while you're racing,
Yes,
to
yes.
having someone correctly fit you with shoes that are made for your feet and your posture and your.
Mhm.
So there's a
Yeah.
there's a lot, and have a conditioning plan. You need to go to the gym. You need to strengthen tone those muscles. So there's a lot of pieces that must come into place for you to achieve any goal that you set for yourself.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of just pick a goal. You probably want to run Comrades, right? One day.
I don't know. Maybe after doing a second marathon, so I was there to test how it feels like to do or to go beyond 21. So I still don't know. I question people who do it, comrades. But with, like you say, with proper
You need a
training
couple
and
more.
guidance, mm,
Yeah,
to
no, you definitely need a couple more marathons under your belt. Build
yeah.
yourself up. This was just your first marathon. It's not the end. And it was meant to be hard because also you were doing it for the first time.
Mm.
So stick it out. Stick it out.
Sure.
You if you need to pay a podiatrist a visit to check your feet and check whether you're in the correct shoes, do that. um, I don't know if you have a coach. Speak to your coach, share your experience with them, and they should be able to help alter and make it a better experience for you the next time.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, I do have a coach, but under a club that I run for. So yeah, it's easy to get access to questions and how are you doing things. So,
Ask
but
questions. One
yeah,
thing, sorry to interject there. One thing I always say to people is that when you are embarking on a journey, trust me, there are many other people that have gone through that journey before you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're experiencing challenges, share those challenges with those people. Chances are they themselves went through that
mm,
previously. And because if you don't speak, no one will know what you need. No one will know that you had a foot problem when you were at Johnson Crane. So ask, talk. Otherwise, no
yeah,
one will know that you're suffering.
yeah, true that, true that. So, how do
Mm.
you encourage women, especially mothers, to take up space in outdoor activities like hiking, cycling, and maybe running?
It's just I think it's to elaborate on my previous answer as well. Choose a goal for yourself. Find someone that's been there before, and befriend them. Or even if they don't become your friend, ask questions. I'll give you a classic example, and it's not even in the sporting space. When my daughter went to a new school 5 years ago, in grade R, I got there and you get there and you kind of scan the landscape. I listened to the different moms, and then I found a mom who's got three girls at that school, with the one being in grade 11 and the the other one somewhere in the middle, and the other one who had also just started with my daughter in grade R. I befriended her. She's my friend today because I was like, she's been there. I'm gonna befriend her so that she can take me along on this journey. So it's as simple as that. You know, we don't have to recreate the wheel. I can decide that tomorrow I want to start surfing. I don't know.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
I'm just being random. You know what I mean? I'm gonna look up who the greatest surfers are or who South African surfers are, and I'll go follow them on Instagram and start commenting on their posts and then slide into the DMs, ask questions.
yeah.
I'll pitch up at a surfing event and go and introduce myself. So it's like nothing is impossible. You know, nothing is
Yes.
impossible. Um, yeah, you know, I like, for example, now I'm in the mountain biking space. I have been for, I think, the past 15 years. And in about 6 weeks' time, I'm going back to the Absa Cape Epic. I'm going to do my sixth Absa Cape Epic. And there's newbies in the space that, you know, bought a mountain bike and they want to get into that space. And I always say, I'm available, guys. Ask
Yeah.
questions. You know, the ladies that want to go and do an epic, it looks fun. It's not fun, it's tough. You know, I once had somebody say to me, let's, oh, you smile through all these mountain bike, you make it look so fun. And I'm like, hey, you should never look like your problems. It's hard, actually.
Yes.
It's hard to smile through it. I digress, but yeah, anything is possible. You know, if you decide tomorrow that I want to start, I don't know, rock climbing, look up the rock
Mm,
climbers, identify
yeah.
who the people are in the space that you want to enter, and then ask questions, do your research.
Yes, yes. Okay. And
Mm.
what's one adventure that completely changed you and why?
An adventure that completely changed me, climbing Kilimanjaro 10 years ago. Um, yeah, many of you will know the outcome of that climb. It's actually been 10 years. It's amazing how time flies. And yeah, so that was obviously the climb where I lost my better half. And yeah, I'm definitely a different person now than what I was back then. I've grown a lot. I had to grow. You know, it was quite a, for lack of a better word, a speed hump in my journey. And I had to find a way to either go over it or avoid it. And I chose not to avoid it, but to face it head on. And I'm definitely a better person. I've grown a lot. And yeah, I face challenges differently now.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh, do you think South Africans are becoming open to wellness and outdoor fitness?
Absolutely. I think the biggest shift actually happened post-COVID. I think, you know, with
Mhm.
COVID and being locked up in our homes, people started feeling that cabin fever, you know? And then
Yes, yes.
suddenly there was this boom. Once the doors opened, people were out there running and people were cycling and people were hiking. So definitely,
Bavuke emaqandeni.
yeah. People realize the importance of physical activity. You know, when you're stuck in your home, whether it's especially like if you're stuck in an apartment, during COVID, you had nowhere to go. You know, those that did not have a garden, just to walk around your garden. Yeah, once the floodgates opened, people were out there. So yes, people have definitely become very open to physical activity. I see it because I've been in this space for the longest time, whether it's running
Mm,
and cycling and hiking and triathlons, and you know,
yeah.
people are definitely growing. For the longest time, a lot of these outdoor adventures were, and I'll be blunt and open, they were white, predominantly
Mm,
white. And I think you know, I remember, you know, back when I started mountain biking, I'd arrive at a race and then you have people looking at you as if you're, I don't know,
Not in Africa.
ghost.
Or maybe you are not in Africa, like you are in
Yeah.
Africa to begin with.
And then they would look you up and down and, look at your helmet and look at your glasses and look at your bike and look at your shoes and your
For
kit
sure.
and yeah. And then they start asking you a question, where are you from? And you're like, I'm from right here in Joburg. So yes, for me, what really warms my heart is to see more of our people out there, running, just taking care of themselves,
Yeah, yes.
and physical activity, whether it's going to the gym or doing yoga or running, cycling, triathlons. That's a very, very, very hard discipline, by the way. The 3 disciplines in one.
Mm,
I've also been there, by the way. I've only done half Ironman, not the full Ironman, but yeah, that's part of
yeah.
the story that I'll tell one day when when I'm in
I
heaven.
was, you can tell. I was also actually going to ask you about swimming because you counted mostly all of the sports except for swimming. So I was going to ask, have you tried a
I
triathlon?
have.
And so,
Yes, I have. I have. I actually took part in the 2016 half Ironman in Durban, which was about a month or so. Yes, it was about a month before we left for Kilimanjaro when Gugu passed away. So I
okay.
had literally just done half Ironman and then
Mm,
went up the mountain. So I've been in that space. I had a
mm,
bit of an incident in the ocean the day
mm,
before that half Ironman. I got caught in what they call a rip current. A rip current, for those that
mm,
don't know, is
mm,
like the ocean has this thing where like the water underneath spins, so it's almost like a washing machine. And I had gone out for like a practice swim with my
mm,
coach the day before the race, and myself, my partner, my training partner Denga, we went out with our coach. We had the same coach, and so the 3 of us went out. And obviously, because they are men, they were probably, I don't know, a couple of meters ahead of me. But suddenly I'm swimming, and then I can't see the sky anymore. So obviously that was when I was then caught in this rip current underneath the water. So I'm going round and round and round. And thank goodness, and I think this was honestly God's grace. I didn't fight the water, because that's when people drown. I literally allowed this thing. I had never heard of a rip current, but I allowed it to do its thing. And then suddenly I got spat out, but I got spat out into the air. I went flying into the air and then
mm.
back into the water. Didn't get hurt because it's water, but I remember landing in the water and seeing stars. And I asked myself, what on earth was that? And then suddenly I see the 2 guys swimming back, and they were like, no, we need to go back. So when we got back to back to shore, they then told me that they also got caught in another rip current. So obviously it was a couple of these washing
Oh,
machine things in the ocean. Needless to say, the following day, they canceled the swim part of the
mm,
triathlon, and all we did
mm.
was we cycled and we
And
ran.
right.
But purely because early that morning when the pros went out, they themselves got caught in rip currents and had to be rescued.
Mm.
So it was
Oh,
a dangerous one. So yes, I got my medal at the end of the day, but it was incomplete. I don't even know where
uh,
that medal is. For me, I didn't even, it's not one of those that I want to put up, because I'm like, it was incomplete. I never did do the swim.
mm,
And I thought I would go back, but I've got this mental block in my head, and it's been 10 years now, because that was 2016. I know how to swim, so swimming is not a problem for me. I yet
yeah.
again equipped myself with a coach that got me from zero to hero,
In swimming.
Adrian Goat. Adrian is absolutely amazing. Guys, DM me if you need these coaches that can change your
I've
life,
seen,
because
people.
guys, know their thing. I
Mm,
remember Adrian literally got me in a space of 3 months. Ne? I
mm,
was hardly able to finish one lap in the pool at Virgin Active. I would get halfway, look, stop to take a breath, and then I would continue, and eventually I get to the other side. He got me from that kind of swimming in the space
mm.
of 3 months
3 months.
to being able to do 20 laps, dive in 20 laps nonstop.
So how many swims or the sessions were you having per week if in a
I was
space
going,
of
I
three
was going
months?
3 times a week. I was going
Uh,
3 times a week, 5
mm,
a.m. to 6 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I did that for
mhm.
3 months, and so it's the commitment as well. You don't
Yeah.
want to, you don't half commit to something. When you want to, like I said, guys, I can decide tomorrow that I want to start surfing, and I will commit.
Mm.
So it's about commitment at the end of the day. If you want to achieve something, commit to it and then equip yourself with the right professionals to get you through it.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine the ocean. You.
The ocean is, you know what? The ocean is an animal.
Nah.
I respect the ocean. Um, I grapple with, I think for me the mental block of not going back is the ocean is so unpredictable. I'm
Mm,
scared of it, and I'll confess that I'm scared of it because I've got no control over it. If I can control something like my running or my cycling, you know what I mean? I've got
yeah.
control. Even though with cycling we fall, I had actually quite a hard tumble a week ago when I was at the training camp in KZN. And but over the years I've learned how to fall,
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So the ocean is unpredictable. It's if I think if I go back to doing triathlons, I'll probably do the off-road triathlons, the ones where you swim in a dam,
Yeah.
and then you mountain bike, and then you do a trail run. I think they call them Xterra. So I'll go back and do an Xterra because at least dam water is still, guys. Dam water doesn't have rip currents.
But
Yeah.
the African myth, not myth, but beliefs and people's experiences, Batamadam, they are full of snakes and whatever, whatever. So, but if you're there, it's
Ah,
like it doesn't really matter. No, I'm just saying the
yeah, but
cons on
also
that
remember,
side.
yeah, remember also, and this is what I hear. I must say, I am afraid of snakes, but those that are not often say a snake will only attack when it's cornered. If it feels like I'm in danger and this person's going to help to hurt me, then they attack. But otherwise, if you mind your own business, apparently that's what I hear. So you can just
Would you
imagine if
mind?
there's a whole
Would
lot.
you mind? Sorry, would
Sorry.
you mind your own business when ubonile ukuthi kunenyoka lapha? There's some fishy,
No, no, no,
fishy
no, 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 no. Obviously, then
movement.
I won't go if I can see that it's there. But I look at my current lifestyle. I'm a mountain biker. I'm always in the
Yeah,
mountains.
though.
And I think the last time I saw a snake was, I think, in September. I was riding in KZN in a snake-infested area. And they did warn us to say you might come across snakes, but especially when it's hot during the day, so just keep your eye out for them. And indeed, we bumped into one, and we had to stop and just let it cross. It crossed, and then we continued. So
Yeah.
respect the snake, and I guess it will respect you.
Yeah, that's life anyways.
Yeah,
Respect you give, it returns back. So yeah.
exactly.
So on healing and grief and resilience, your book, I
Mm.
Choose to Live, touched so many people and hearts. Yes. What compelled you to share your story publicly?
Yo, um, I think for me, I don't want to say I was under pressure per se, but
Mhm.
the story, when the story broke in the media, when we were still in Kilimanjaro, my phone was bombed. It was inundated with calls and calls and calls from the media. People wanted to know what happened, although the book is not all about what happened on Kili. Yes, the first part of it,
Yes.
that's where I share exactly what happened blow by blow. And back when like I said, when the story broke, I wanted to take my time and process what I had just gone through. And with the media blasting my phone, I said, I even remember handing my phone to someone else um, back then, and I said, only when I'm ready, I will talk. And even so, I wanted to take my time to absorb what I had gone through. I knew that I would share it one day, because nobody prepares you for the death of a loved one.
Yeah.
And I'm a storyteller. I like to share. I'm a sharer. Sometimes I'll post stories, random stories, and I'll use the hashtag sharing is caring because I'm a sharer and I believe that we must share and empower each other, you know. And prior to me losing, or prior to Ugu passing away, I had not heard, or I had not learned from anyone else or heard anyone else's story being told in depth, or rather, I had maybe never come across any books that interested me. And I felt, you know what, I want to share what I have gone through, the challenges, and how I chose to pick up the pieces and choose to live, which also then lent itself to the title of the book. Um, and I think also besides the media in the initial phases, I also had, as I started choosing to live and living life, and people seeing that
Mhm.
I was continuing to live life in social media, I would receive DMs, a lot of DMs, on Instagram, on Facebook, people saying, "Oh my gosh, how do you do it?" And I'm like, "Well, there's no handbook, and I don't even consider my book a handbook either." But I then decided, actually, you know what? Maybe I should just write a book and share my experience, and that's how it basically came together.
Okay. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that the hashtag sharing is caring because you may never know who can relate.
exactly. We shield ourselves and we shield our lives so much, and very often we'll go through something and think that we are the only people going through whatever it
Mm.
is. Whether you lose a job, or you lose a loved one passes away, or your boyfriend breaks up with you, or you lose your car. Like, I'm just using other
Yeah,
examples, or
yes, yes.
your car gets repossessed, or you lose your job, or whatever it may be. We, as human beings, we're constantly losing something. We're constantly going
Mm.
through something. um
Yeah.
and or you lose your house, and now you need to move from your 3-4 bedroom house into a one bedroom, into a bachelor flat. It's not the end of the world. It's just potholes and speed humps that have been put in front of you, and it's about how do you get around them, or how do you get over them. Don't get stuck in that dark hole, or the darkness, or whatever it
Yes.
is. So yeah, that's why I wrote the book, because I felt that people aren't sharing their
Mm.
stories. Mm.
Yes, yes. And how does healing look like for you today, years later now after?
Healing for me looks like, um, I don't know, movement. It looks like, um, healing looks like, being able to wake up and smile and be grateful for life. You know what I mean? Healing looks like
Yes.
opening myself up to opportunities that come my way, opening myself up to, um, I'm not saying that I'm open to everything, but I'm always open to a conversation about, because people come to me, about various business ventures and so on. But I'm always willing to listen, and then obviously I must assess. And then people come to me with interview requests. Thandeka asked me to be on her podcast a couple of months ago, for
Mm.
example. I don't accept all invitations, but I felt, okay, this one I want to accept. So yeah, it's that's healing for me, is allowing myself to live life, to be open to life and its experiences.
Okay, okay. And then now coming to motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate a lot on that as well. I can relate to even the stories that you would share on your Instagram. Like the other time, like weeks or maybe last year, I think, where you said you had tried to bribe your daughter to just walk herself into class, and then she called you to order. Uguti, no, mama, it's just a walk, and you had to switch off the car and step out. And I was like, yo, these kids have
Yeah.
similar traits. The kids, they know how to say, mama, can you just do this with me?
Yeah.
You don't have to buy
Yeah.
me something nice or give me money. So it's one of the things I also caught on, and I was like, yo, kids today. But
They're
that
very
wasn't
vocal.
right.
They are the good thing about it as well is also because I do open myself up to, sometimes I just put my guard down and listen to her and and engage. These kids are very clever. These kids are a lot more
Mm,
confident than we were when we were kids. Their minds work differently.
mm,
And yeah, I open myself up to her, and I learn a lot. She teaches me a lot, as a mom.
mm.
So yeah, yes, it's a challenging journey, but it's a fulfilling journey too.
Yes. How has motherhood reshaped your sense of identity and purpose?
Um, sure. If there's one thing, Lilith, who's turning 11 now, she's a 2015 baby. I remember before she was born, I said to myself, um, this little person is coming into my life. Actually, myself and her dad had the conversation where we said, she's coming into our lives. We've been here. She's finding us here on earth. So we can't change ourselves to fit
Mm,
her schedule, if you know what I mean. And that's why, as I think 4 months after she was born, I went and did my first. I think it was the double century. The double century is a 204-kilometer cycle race. So I
mm,
got back on the bike. I didn't want to lose myself, and I think motherhood, very often we women, we become so lost. We lose ourselves. We forget who we are. And so I wouldn't necessarily say it's shaped me or reshaped me in any sense, because I very much still put myself first. Yes, we take care of these kids and take them through schooling and so on and so on, and we have this massive responsibility to bring them up. But I always prioritize myself, and that's why mom guilt doesn't work with me. If I
mm.
feel I want to go and do the Absa Cape Epic, which is an 8-day mountain bike race, I will go do it because that's what fills my cup. And if my cup is full, I can pour into her cup when I can pour into other people's cup. So maybe maybe motherhood has helped me become closer to myself. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, it's part of my journey, but it's I still put myself first because I'm the most important. in my life, and
Uh,
then
yes, yes.
I think we tend to lose ourselves, you know, as mothers,
Yeah,
as
it's
wives.
not the other way
Hey,
around.
everyone else before us, our families, and so on, and work and so on. I put myself first. I fill my cup, and then I can fill the work cup, and I can fill the motherhood cup, and
Mm.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah, yes.
yeah.
And then well, you somehow answered it. What values do you prioritize in teaching your daughter?
Um, sure. I think it's a lot of values really. We are a Christian family, number one, so God is the leader of our home. You know, I got touched so deeply the other day when she asked our pastor in church if she can be a server. So we are Anglican, by the way. So she's now one of the people up at the altar. She's one of the altar servers, and it's beautiful to see that, you know, I didn't push it. It literally came from her. So God first, and then respect. And it's self-respect, and it's respect for everyone and everything, you know, respect for people's belongings, respect for people, respect for animals, respect. So respect is a big thing for me. And yeah, it's a lot of general values that I think you know, we all know and we all try to instill in our kids. And for me, it's, you know, what I said just now as well. You come first in your life. No one else comes first in your life. Be happy with how you are putting yourself out to the world. When you wake up every day, how do you present yourself, and how do you set yourself up to the challenges that you face? So it's all about put your best foot forward.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
then now moving on to nutrition, wellness, and health holistically. How do you approach nutrition and fitness, self care during your busy seasons?
When you say busy seasons, you're talking about my busy sporting seasons. So like
Yes,
for
yes.
example, yeah. So like for example, now I'm about 6 weeks away from the toughest multi-stage mountain bike race in the world, the Absa Cape Epic.
Mm,
Um, you know, if there's one thing about me, I'm always open to learning, right? And I can tell you now that I'm a different mountain biker today than I was 10 years ago. I've learned a lot about nutrition, and when it comes to mountain biking, you eat today for tomorrow's ride. You don't eat just
yeah.
before the ride, you know? So you
Yes, yes.
fuel once, you know, if there's one thing I've learned. Hi, Obakeng. And yeah, so the fueling strategies I've learned on the bike before training, during training, after
Mhm.
training. Um, you know, you find a lot of people who will go to whether it's a marathon or it's a cycling race, and they will carbo load the night before, and they're eating all these carbs, and then they go bomb it. You know, they go run that race so hard, or they go do that cycle race so hard. And then when they get to the finish line or they get home, they passed out and they're out for, you know what I mean?
Yes,
That's not how it works, you know? When you cross the finish line, within 30 to 45 minutes, you need to replenish what you lost. You need
mm,
to eat those, um, you know, the protein, and whether it's a recovery drink, but you need that that meal to, you know, basically put in what you lost so that you're able to get up and continue moving.
yeah.
So yeah, nutrition for me looks like I have a schedule on my phone. Every Monday my coach uploads the schedule for the week, and then I have a look and see what sessions I have, and if I've got intervals, then I know, that's going to be hard, you know. So the day before, I load, and I eat and prepare for that session tomorrow. And then obviously on the day as well, I eat a certain way so that I'm able to perform well. So it's not just about you wake up and you say, what am I going to eat? And no, you actually plan these things.
Okay. And then how do you work that out? Because you're not living alone, you live with your daughter, or you guys eat similar foods. How does that work out for
No.
you?
No, we don't. She's very different. And she's a dancer. She does acrobatics and ballet, and
Wow.
her eating's very different to mine. Mine is like heavy carbs and heavy protein and fats, and because mine is very intensive. Yeah, no, obviously her volumes are different, and um yeah, she's also a very picky eater. Yo, Nkosi yami. So it's always a negotiation. But
Then,
yeah, we try to keep it as healthy as possible.
all
She's
right.
actually very healthy. She's even healthier than than me. Her preferred beverage on a daily basis all the time is water.
Oh,
She doesn't like
nice.
she's not into juices and fizzy drinks and all of that. H2O. And
Yeah,
she's been like that since she was a kid.
that's nice, man. Yeah, it's nice when, especially when they focus on veggies and water. Because yeah, I
Yeah,
must
no,
use
the veggie conversation, yeah, that's the tough
it's a
part.
different one.
She's got her choice. She's got her three, four that she's okay with, and I kind of have to, um, keep rotating those three, four veggies that she prefers.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We have Autism Mom. That's a channel name, but her name is Boitumelo.
Buitumelo. Hi,
Ati,
Buitumelo.
mm. Now she's a mother. Her daughter is also around 9 or 10. So she's saying she can relate in many levels.
Yeah, and that's why we share this. So,
Mm.
it's we need to continue sharing as moms. And because a lot of us are going through a lot of the same things. So sharing is caring. And I'm glad that you relate to our conversation.
Mm. Before we run out of time, we're moving on to now work with girls and community. So your work that you had done with caring for girls, it's so powerful. Why is empowering young girls so important to you?
Because I'm a mom to a girl. I think for me that's all how it started. The whole idea behind climbing Kilimanjaro 10 years ago, for was for girls, and at that time, she had just turned one, and I sat there thinking to myself, goodness me, if my child years down the line has no access to sanitary towels, I
Mm,
really hope that there'll be people out there, other people out there, that are willing to, donate or assist somehow. So for me, I sat there thinking, I need to go climb this mountain, or do what I can rather to help other girls, because I myself, number one, I'm a girl, and I'm a mom to a girl as well. So for me, it was really a no-brainer. It was really a no-brainer. And I haven't worked directly with them in a couple of years, but I still support them very
uh,
much. Richard, the CEO, is a very close friend of mine, and whenever he calls out and needs my help, I'm there in a flash. So, yeah, for me, it really was a no-brainer, and it was all about giving back, giving back.
yeah.
Yeah.
What changes would you like to see in how South Africa supports girls and young women?
Um, I think for me, besides sanitary towels, free education, and not just for girls, for boys as well. We shouldn't forget the boy child. Free education support. I was very lucky in that many years ago, when my mom was doing her master's degree, she got a scholarship in the US. So she took me with. I'm an only child, guys. So she took me with, and And so for 2 years, I studied there, and school was free, government school. There weren't a lot of private schools. Actually, there were very few private schools, a lot of government schools in the area, in the city that we stayed in. And it was proper, good quality education. So if there's anything that the country can do, honestly, is free education and support for our boys and our girls. Um, yeah.
Okay. And then after all your experiences, love, loss, healing, adventure, what do you want your legacy to be?
Sure. I think that ties back to what we spoke about earlier, when I said, I'm a lover of life and I just put myself out there. I think what I would like my legacy to be would be, I want to be remembered as that person or that lady who never allowed anything to stand in her way. And if anything stood in her way, she found a way to work around it or over it or through it. So I want to be remembered as that gutsy woman who just chose to grab life by the horns and just live life, because there's a lot of people walking around us who are stuck in the dark hole, who have such huge challenges, major challenges sitting on their shoulders,
Yeah.
and they don't know how to take that next step, whether it's a step or a shuffle, but just you gotta somehow pick up the pieces and just keep moving. Find a way.
Yeah, yeah. Because life is lifing. We're all here anyway to experience life. We have no choice.
Exactly. We've
Yeah.
got no choice. We've got no choice.
Okay, so coming to an end, the previous episode, I had a guest and I had asked them to leave a question for our next guest. So the question that was left was, it's a random question that you don't know
Okay.
who was coming in. So what is the one thing that completely shifted the way you see the world, and how are you enforcing that to help shift other people's view of the world?
That is a heavy question. Oh my goodness, I wonder who that guest was.
I'll send you a clip after the show.
Sure. What is the one thing that helped me? Say that again.
What is the
Something
one
about
thing
shifting the world.
that completely shifted the way you see the world? And
Mm.
how are you enforcing that to help shift other people's view of the world?
Sure. I think just so I don't take too long answering the question. I think it was the biggest life-changing experience that I personally had, and I know we spoke about it earlier on, and that was losing a loved one. Yes, I had lost a lot of people before in my life, but when you lose somebody that close,
Yeah.
it's almost like that person departs with a piece of your life or your heart or whatever it is. But you know um that kind of loss for me, I could have been stuck in that dark hole of sadness, of grief, but I made a choice. I chose to get up and keep moving. And I think it's what it's done for me thereafter. And now it's been 10 years because he passed away 10 years ago. Um, for me, life is a choice. Anything and everything that you get yourself into, it's you make that choice.
Mhm.
Um, and I hope that answers your question. It was it's a tough question, but for me,
And
yeah.
the second part to it is, how are you enforcing to help others now maybe shift their view of the world also?
I think having written my book, and I'd love to gift you a
Yes.
copy of my book, Thandeka, so that you know
Mm,
exactly what I'm talking about. Having written that book for me is my gift to the world, and sharing with people how I made that choice to get up and keep moving and keep living life. And I try to instill that even in my daughter, you know. I remember there's a video clip that I actually took of her. I think it was during COVID, actually. I think she was about 4 years old, and and she, you know, in our little courtyard, she was cycling and she fell. But by then already, I had instilled in her that when you fall, you dust yourself off and you try again. Aaliyah's song, by the way, dust yourself off and try. I think it's called Try
yes.
Again.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that whole thing that when life hits you with whatever challenge it is, you dust yourself off and you try again. You get up and you keep moving. So you know, I'm instilling that in my daughter. I'm instilling that in. I do a lot of talks, a lot of motivational talks around my book. I get invited to corporates to share my story, and that's what I always leave them with. Whatever challenges life hits you with, dust yourself off and try again.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then when you speak of
Mhm.
corporate, I had on another interview of you had ukuthi now pop-up gym is mainly focused on the corporate space. Was that always
Yes.
your intention, or it's just how things pan out to be?
You know what? It wasn't the original intention, but that's what it morphed into, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Yes, we were in the public space and we had these big events, outdoor events open to the public. But
Mhm.
at some point, there were so many of the same kind of event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then obviously at that time, we also then started the corporate side of the business, and then when COVID hit, that's when we decided, you know what, actually, let's
Yeah.
just focus on the corporate side of the business. There are plenty of other uh, companies that are doing a similar thing. Let them do that. We'll then just move on to phase two, if I may put it like that. So
Yeah.
it was a natural progression for us.
All right. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
combination. I can imagine. Yeah, the
Yeah.
growth even within the
Yeah.
private sector. Yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
please leave a question for our next guest on the next episode. Any random
Oh,
question.
oh my gosh. And I need to think on the spot, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, if there are, name 5 people, and it can be anyone in the world that you would invite to a dinner and ask them the same question. I don't know
Okay.
if that's a good question, if that's a good question for the next person, but yeah, I think if you can, you know, whether you go from I don't know, Obama and Oprah Winfrey and Nelson Mandela, and the people can be alive or have passed on. So if there's 5 people that you would sit around a table with, who would
And
they
ask
be and why?
them.
Ask
Oh,
them, yeah.
okay.
And what is that one question that you would ask them all?
Okay. Okay, I'll make a note of that. And I'll also share you the previous guest question or her video clip. Well, it's a
Yes,
moment.
please.
All right.
Yes, please
Thank you.
do.
And
I'd
also,
love that.
is it still available, the book on Take a Lot? Where can people get your
Yes,
book?
take a
So,
lot is your best bet.
okay. Okay, we'll check it out
Yes.
from there. I'll let you know how that one goes. So, but
Thank
thank
you
you for
very
your
much.
time. I really appreciate, and have a productive week and the year ahead,
Thank you.
since you're on the
And
second month.
likewise. Thank you so much, Thandeka. Keep well.
Sleep well. Good night. Bye.
Night. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you for staying in on the live. This is it. We'll see you next week, and then yeah, let's keep moving. Good night.
Cause nobody do it like you be taking your time. Just Talk to me, baby, tell me all the thoughts on your mind. Ain't shy, say